Can we start anytime?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Rishi from Brown Bear Coffee and episode 1 of Brown Bear TV. And I have a guest with me.
You gotta come into the picture.
My guest is a very shy ninja. And today in episode 1 of Brown Bear TV, we're going to discuss roast levels with my favorite ninja, Karena.
Hey, I'm Karena. I know nothing about coffee. I'm actually a tea drinker, so I'm here today to learn about the different kinds of roasts. Apparently that's the thing. And yeah, ready to learn from you.
Cool. So, a quick primer on roast levels. So we gathered a few products from the grocery. Some you may know, some you may not know. And they're a great example of the roast level. And I'm gonna go through what you can expect from each. And then I'm gonna give you a little twist at the end because some people confuse roast level and espresso, and I'm gonna show you something too. So which one do you think is light versus dark? Obviously.
So this looks light, and this looks
dark.
very dark.
So I'll reveal this one, and this one is Panther West Coast Espresso. Keep note of this for the end. So this is a specialty roaster out of Miami, and you can touch it and see a little dryish exterior, not wet, and it looks like milk chocolate, and they're a little bit hard, right?
So what's with the light?
So that's
crack in the middle?
Once a coffee expands, it's a good sign of development because once a coffee shell expands, that little seam puffs up. So that's the entire membrane matter swelling up. If you didn't see that, that means a lot of heat didn't penetrate. So that's a good sign.
Okay.
Some do it a lot more, but with these coffees, they're light roast. So coffee starts as a green seed, and with these lighter coffees, you'll get a little more closer organic flavor to where the coffees are from. So when people say they taste certain organic acids like citrusy and that kind of thing, these shine in here, and they say malted chocolate, raspberry, Concord grape, silky finish. So once extracted properly, you actually taste these afterwards.
So is taste dependent on the soil that the coffee is?
So just like grapes,
growing?
every region has certain flavors, and these roasts start from here are the best to highlight the varietal region. The further you go that way, the less it tastes like where it was from, and the more it tastes like roasted.
Interesting.
So once you start here, a lot of specialty roasters specialize in this because they source very expensive coffees and they don't want to overdo it. And then as we go down from light to medium, so this, how would you describe that compared to this?
I would say, obviously, it's a little darker. You don't get as much of the seam that we see here, right?
Well, some of them you do. See, and a lot of that is varied on the varietal. Some varietals show a lot more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I would say the outside is a little smoother, softer than
these.
the light. Yeah.
So this is actually our espresso blend. And this is a medium roast. And it's a blend of 3 coffees, so you can see they look different. There's smaller and bigger ones in there. And these go a little further than that, and the bean develops more. You lose a little bit of these organic for vegetal and fruit flavors, but you get a little more caramelization. And again, this was designed for espresso or a breakfast blend. So people who want a little bit of this, but a little more caramelization and body, that's what this is for.
So I hear that a lot, and as a tea drinker, so for coffee, what does it mean to have body? What does that mean?
So good question. We'll get a little detail there. Wow, what was that? So body, so the chemical, when you get wines that have body, it's actually not necessarily the weight or physical characteristic. It's
tannins,
usually,
right?
It's how they hit your tongue and make you feel. So the darker, a lot of times with certain coffees already have body. So when they ferment, they have certain flavor compounds that give body. So a lot of naturally processed coffees that have been fermented in the fruit outside, they tend to have a lot of body. And it's usually a group of organic compounds. And a lot of times if you take them a little bit darker, that it's not that goes away, but some of the organic acids that give you a sense of clean and light flavor, those go away. leaving these with body. So these were roasted. Since this is our blend, I know what's in it, but the coffees were picked because they have bodies. They have body at this roast level.
Okay.
And since this is for espresso, we wanted espresso that was thick, chocolatey, could stand up to milk drinks. So this one, we're going down, and how, so if this is light, this is medium. You say that's medium dark within the range we have.
Yeah.
And how would you describe how they look? Because they look obviously different.
It's starting to look more oily to me.
Right, shiny, right?
Yeah, so it's shinier.
But you can't really see or feel any oil. It just looks
Right.
like it's glistening, not sweating, like how women say, we don't sweat, we glisten.
Yes, I glisten personally.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
So what that is, so this is another one of ours. This is an experiment. Not an experiment, a special run. This is a natural Peruvian coffee from our broker, Yellow Rooster. And we love naturally processed coffees, which we'll do a video on that. And so they had this and they're like, hey, you guys would like this. And we roasted this at a lighter level, but I just wanted, a lot of times I will roast coffees at this and this just to see what happens at the end. Because you never know, some coffees completely change later on. And this one did. So this one, we took it a little darker. And with time sit in the bag, what happens is when you roast coffee, all the sexiness, the oils are inside. You don't necessarily want them to come out all the way like that. And so this is for me, this is a nice happy medium. Okay. At this point, you know, in the bag, it tends to come out a bit, but we wanted to roast this just to see how it would be as an espresso.
Okay.
So some coffees change. So there's a certain kind of floral sweetness, and that mixed with the caramelization. So this is a medium dark, and then this one at the very end is obviously your uber dark. So this one is the Starbucks Anniversary Blend, and it's labeled as a dark roast. And when they do dark roast, they mean it. So at this end, you see it's super shiny. The beans are very brittle and soft. You can break them.
Yeah.
And oily.
So, yeah.
So these are at the very end of the roast level. So at the heating process where it happens, some roasters stop here. Most specialty roasters usually stop here. So these, obviously, you can smell it, and that's what it tastes like.
Yeah, so
very carbonic.
For me, at least.
Now, this is what you make a cafe soda with. If you're gonna put condensed milk in that and sugar. So people who like their coffees very strong, say you're a smoker, your taste buds are, you know, you would like this, and you could put a lot of stuff in it.
Okay.
And if you don't like that as dark, you can start working your way down to medium dark and medium. Usually people who've been drinking dark and want something better end up here from the worst part.
Interesting. So I guess what would be advantages to body for a dark roast? So it seems like it's really oily, definitely to the touch.
And I would
it's a
say
lot softer.
I wouldn't say that has more body. It's just, you could say that, but really the Maillard reaction has gone so carbonic, that's the overwhelming thing you taste. And at that point, you really won't know if a lot of the flavor compounds that create body is there, because all you're getting is carbon.
So wait, we're backing up now. What is the Maillard reaction?
Maillard reaction is a caramelization reaction in food, and we use it a lot in coffee.
Okay.
And it happens at a certain time in the roast, and you can control it. And the minute coffee goes from green to brown, those reactions begin. And they continue all the way until you burn it. Same thing happens when you sear a steak. You know, you sear it in the fat and the salt, it gets sweet. So you can kind of carry this reaction at a certain point. And at the end point for the roast, it's still going on. But if you stop it at certain points, you have different sweetness. So you can go from like milk chocolate, little dark chocolate, caramello, dulce de leche, and then you can get bitter cocoa chocolate.
I see. Okay.
And so these are good for different things. I mean, if you really like a lot of sugar and condensed milk, you start here and work your way back. If you usually when people start migrating this way, they start saying things like, "Oh, I can drink this coffee without sugar or cream."
So this is more of a
this is where you're getting
black
to
coffee.
all
straight?
these here, right here.
Okay. And maybe could you add milk or cream
To both of these. From here onwards, you could. But usually
Okay.
when coffee drinkers start becoming more sophisticated, they move from super dark to these. And then they really may not go all the way to this, but they'll end up here.
Interesting.
And the advantage to a medium roast is like folks who drink a lot of very lighter, we call them third wavy roast. You can still give them something that they would appreciate at this level. So there's a lot of roast levels. There's no perfect one. This depends on what you want, but you should try all, and you know, see which one. Each one is good for a different thing. Some people keep a light one for a pour over, like how you drink a cup of tea, and these are akin to that. And some people, if it's cold, they might want a lot of, wake up in the morning, have some sugar, I need a cappuccino, they'll pull something from here. So
are you gonna make me some coffee to
I
try?
do. Let's take a look at some coffee we're gonna make and see if we can tell what the color is. So we did pour over with both polar ends, the light and the dark, just to show you. So this is a lighter of our spectrum. This is probably lighter, but
So it looks lighter to me.
you can kind of see through it. Looks like a tea or some kind of dark tea, and you can try it.
Okay.
It's cold, but good coffee tastes good cold, like a tea.
So I think it's,
What do you taste? Let's see.
I would say it's more acidic in terms
But what
of
acids do you take? What can you identify any
tartness.
flavors? Survey says. You tell me.
It does taste lemony.
Lemony, sweet lemonade is there. Yeah.
I feel like that's the first kind of taste at the forefront. And some other fruits that I can't really place.
And that's,
but you get that
you
towards
get
the
some
back.
fruit. So as a tea drinker, you wouldn't think you're drinking coffee. You'd think you were drinking a very dark tea blend.
Yeah.
And that's what specialty coffee is. And it stays true to the region where it was from. And if I did the pour over right, you would taste that. And there are variables. If I had ground that finer or less, you would have probably tasted those things more or less. And they usually will tell you the taste descriptions on there too.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And then at the very end, this is not Guinness, folks. This is a pour over for, they would call this a French roast or an Italian roast. Would you like to try that?
Okay. Definitely is a lot darker if we're comparing.
Quite a bit darker.
Quite a bit darker.
It's like a dark ale versus a...
It even smells... It smells oily. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Because oil is
but-
carbon based, it's...
Okay. Whoa! It's so bitter.
That's... So Maillard reaction gone amok. That's what happens.
Yeah. It's just all I taste is...
Roast, cooked,
Yeah, it's just bitter.
carbon.
And it does kind of feel dark. I know it's a dark roast, but it feels dark in your mouth when
Yes.
you're tasting it as well.
Yeah. And that is the polar end of the cap. So...
I don't like it.
And
I don't like it.
she's a tea drinker, remember, so this is a big shock to her system. But, you know, when we grew up drinking coffee, way back before the internets came up, this is how coffee, you know, a lot of countries, they have Robusta, or they just roast this dark. So my great-grandfather used to roast coffee. He would grow his own, but they didn't have coffee roasting machines. So see that big cast iron skillet I have? He'd have a big cast iron, and he would put
he
it in
would
and
roast
roast
it
it
that
until
way?
it got like this. And then he would grind the entire thing up in a jar, and that would be his coffee for the year. So it's everything that's wrong, people would say is wrong. You roast it too dark, you grind the whole thing, but that's working people's coffee. I mean, he got up at 4 or 5, he had his own farm, so that's just what they did, you know, and so that's the evolution. It's like beer, right? You drink like mass-produced beer, and now you have craft beer, and this is the evolution of the market. So this is, you know, for someone like you would start here. But there's a lot of people who've been drinking this. But over time, the way that the coffee industry is spread now, most people end up kind of here now. There's not as much people who drink very, very dark anymore, just for the same reason that you tasted.
Yeah.
So that's a quick snapshot of roast level. Everyone says, is this espresso? I can't drink it. The lightest in our profile is an espresso. This is a West Coast espresso from Panther. And you saw this was a very light. Some people be like, that's espresso with a light roast. But espresso is just an application. It's not really a roast level. And espresso is whatever you make through this machine. So you can put a very light roast, a single varietal, or a blend. But over time, people have kind of learned to make espresso blends for a certain flavor profile, and they will come out as this is an espresso blend, but it doesn't mean you can't drink it as a pour over.
Yeah.
It just means you have to be smart enough to read and see what are the varietals and what's the roast level, because there are espresso as dark as this. So when you punch in your little Spanish eatery and you get a cafe con leche, it's probably something that dark, but all espressos are not. For example, this light one is, and the medium one is our Mishka espresso, which is our espresso blend. And actually, a lot of people just use that as a morning breakfast blend. And some people make pour over with it. So espresso is just an application, not necessarily a roast level.
Well, thanks for teaching me about coffee, Rishi.
You're welcome. Are you coming back for more?
Sure, as
Okay.
much as I can.
We won't have
but
any dessert. We'll just have steak for you since you don't like dessert.
I definitely can appreciate the complexity of coffee a little bit more than I did before.
Awesome. Do you like cappuccino drinks?
I don't know.
Should we make her a cappuccino? Okay, we'll do that.